Welcome back to Gretta's Grimoire with 2M's. Thank you for turning the page. Without further ado, the 12 brothers. There were once upon a time a king and a queen who lived happily together and had 12 children. But they were all boys. Then said the king to his wife, "If the 13th child which you are about to bring into the world is a girl, the 12 boys shall die, in order that her possessions may be great, and that the kingdom may fall to her alone." He caused likewise 12 coffins to be made, which were already filled with shavings, and in each lay the little pillow for the dead. And he had them taken into a locked-up room, and when he gave the queen the key for it, and bade her not to speak of this to anyone. The mother, however, now sat and lamented all day long, until the youngest son, who was always with her, and whom she had named Benjamin, from the Bible, said to her, "Dear mother, why are you so sad?" "Dearest child," she answered, "I may not tell you." But he let her have no rest until she went and unlocked the room, and showed him the 12 coffins ready filled with shavings. Then she said, "My dearest Benjamin, your father has had these coffins made for you and for your 11 brothers, for if I bring a little girl into the world, you are all to be killed and buried in them." And as she wept while she was saying this, the son comforted her and said, "Weep not, dear mother, we will save ourselves and go away." But she said, "Go forth into the forest with your 11 brothers, and let one sit constantly in the highest tree which can be found, and keep watch looking towards the tower here in the castle. If I give birth to a little son, I will put up a white flag, and then you may venture to come back. But if I bear a daughter, I will hoist a red flag, and then fly away as quickly as you are able, and may the good God protect you. And every night I will rise up and pray for you, in winter that you may be able to warm yourself at a fire, and in summer that you may not faint away in the heat." After she had blessed her sons, they went forth into the forest. They each kept watch in turn, and sat on the highest oak, and looked towards the tower. When 11 days had passed, and the turn came to Benjamin, he saw that a flag was being raised. It was, however, not the white, but the blood-red flag, which announced that they were all to die. When the brothers heard that, they were very angry, and said, "Are we all to suffer death for the sake of a girl? We swear that we will avenge ourselves. However we find a girl, her red blood shall flow." Thereupon they went deeper into the forest, and in the midst of it, where it was the darkest, they found a little bewitched hut, which was standing empty. Then said they, "Here we will dwell, and you, Benjamin, who are the youngest and weakest, you shall stay at home and keep house. We others will go out and get food." Then they went into the forest and shot hares, wild deer, birds and pigeons, and whatever there was to eat. This they took to Benjamin, who had to dress it for them in order that they might appease their hunger. They lived together 10 years in the little hut, and the time did not appear long to them. The little daughter, which their mother the queen had given birth to, was now grown up. She was good of heart and fair of face, and had a golden star on her forehead. Once, when a big washing had been done, she saw 12 men's shirts among the things, and asked her mother, "To whom do these 12 shirts belong? For they are far too small for father." Then the queen answered with a heavy heart, "Dear child, these belong to your 12 brothers." Said the maiden, "Where are my 12 brothers? I have never yet heard of them." She replied, "God knows where they are wandering about the world." Then she took the maiden and opened the chamber for her, and showed her the 12 coffins with the shavings and pillows for the head. "These coffins," said she, "were destined for your brothers, but they went away secretly before you were born." And she related to her how everything had happened. Then said the maiden, "Dear mother, weep not, I will go and seek my brothers." So she took the 12 shirts, and went forth and straight into the great forest. She walked the whole day, and in the evening she came to the bewitched hut. Then she entered it and found a young boy, who asked, "Where do you come from, and where are you bound?" and was astonished that she was so beautiful, and wore royal garments, and had a star on her forehead. Then she answered, I am a king's daughter, and am seeking my 12 brothers, that I will walk as far as the sky is blue until I find them. She likewise showed him the 12 shirts which belonged to them. Then Benjamin saw that she was his sister, and said, I am Benjamin, your youngest brother. And then she began to weep for joy, and Benjamin wept also, and they kissed and embraced each other with the greatest love. But after this he said, Dear sister, there is still one difficulty. We have agreed that every maiden whom we meet shall die, because we have been obliged to leave our kingdom on account of a girl. Then said she, I will willingly die, if by so doing I can save my 12 brothers. No, answered he, you shall not die. Seat yourself beneath this tub until our 11 brothers come, and then I will soon come to an agreement with them. She did so, and when it was night, the others came from hunting, and their dinner was ready. And as they were sitting at table and eating, they asked, What news is there? Said Benjamin. Don't you know anything? No, they answered. He continued, You have been in the forest, and I have stayed at home, and yet I know more than you do. Tell us, then, they cried. He answered, But promise me that the first maiden who meets us shall not be killed. Yes, they all cried, She shall have mercy, only do tell us. Then said he, Our sister is here, and he lifted up the tub, and the king's daughter came forth in her royal garments, with the golden star on her forehead, and she was beautiful, delicate, and fair. Then they were all rejoiced, and hugged, and kissed, and loved her with all their hearts. Now she stayed at home with Benjamin and helped him with the work. The 11 went into the forest and caught game and deer and birds and wood pigeons that they might have food, and the little sister and Benjamin took care to make it ready for them. She sought for the wood for cooking and herbs for vegetables, and put the pans on the fire so that the dinner was always ready when the 11 came. She likewise kept order in the little house and put beautifully white clean coverings on the little beds, and the brothers were always contented and lived in great harmony with her. Once on a time the two at home had prepared a beautiful meal, and when they were all together they sat down and ate and drank and were full of gladness. There was, however, a little garden belonging to the bewitched house, where there were 12 lily flowers, which are likewise called students. She wished to give her brothers pleasure, and plucked the 12 flowers, and thought she would present each brother with one while at dinner. But at the same moment that she plucked the flowers, the 12 brothers were changed into 12 ravens, and flew away over the forest, and the house and garden vanished likewise. And now the poor maiden was alone in the wild forest, and when she looked around, an old woman was standing near her, who said, My child, what have you done? Why did you not leave the 12 white flowers growing? They were your brothers, and who are now forevermore changed into ravens. The maiden said, weeping, Is there no way of saving them? No, said the woman. There is but one in the whole world, and that is so hard that you will not succeed at it. For you must be dumb for 7 years, and may not speak or laugh, and if you speak one single word, and only an hour of the 7 years is wanting, all is vain, and your brothers will be killed by the one word. Then said the maiden in her heart, I know with certainty that I shall set my brothers free, and went and sought a high tree, and she sat spinning, and she neither spoke nor laughed. Now it so happened that a king was hunting in the forest, who had a great greyhound, which ran to the tree on which the maiden was sitting, and sprang about it, whining and barking at her. Then the king came by and saw the beautiful king's daughter with the gold star on her brow, and was so charmed with her beauty that he called to ask her if she would be his wife. She made no answer, but nodded a little with her head. So he climbed up the tree himself, carried her down, placed her on his horse, and took her home. Then the wedding was solemnized? Yeah. With great magnificence and rejoicing, but the bride neither spoke nor smiled. When they had lived happily together for a few years, the king's mother, who was a wicked woman, began to slander the young queen, and said to the king, This is a common beggar girl whom you have brought back with you. Who knows what impious tricks she practices secretly? Even if she is dumb and not able to speak, she still might laugh for once. But those who do not laugh have bad consciences. At first the king would not believe it, but the old woman urged this for so long, and accused her of so many evil things, that at last the king let himself be persuaded, and sentenced her to death. And now a great fire was lighted in the courtyard in which she was to be burnt, and the king stood above at the window and looked on with tearful eyes because he still loved her so much. And when she was bound fast to the stake, and the fire was licking at her clothes with its red tongue, and the last instant of the 7 years expired, then a whirring sound was heard in the air, and 12 ravens came flying towards the place and sank downwards, and when they touched the earth they were her 12 brothers whom she had saved. They tore the fire asunder, extinguished the flames, set their dear sister free, and kissed and embraced her, and now as she dared to open her mouth and speak, she told the king why she had been dumb and had never laughed. And the king rejoiced when he heard that she was innocent, and they all lived in great unity until their death. The wicked stepmother was taken before the judge, and put into a barrel filled with boiling oil and venomous snakes, and died an evil death. The end. Okay, first, sorry, we're all in quarantine. They were in quarantine, just like all 13 of them are chill. It's like they were happy all the time. I'm like, how? I don't understand. Give me your secret. Where was it? Okay, if you love someone, throwing this out there, if you love someone dearly, don't let people if you love someone and know that person is a good person, don't let people tell you that they're not. Like, just throwing it out there, because it's like the king's like, I love you, but my mom has said so many bad things about you that I'm going to have you killed. Sorry, still love you. And it's like, also, how lucky is it that, the last instant of the 7 years passed, the second, she's about to die from, smoke inhalation, and she didn't. I'm like, one character I know from a certain story, and we're all mad about that. Moving on. Can we talk about grim capital punishment for a second? She was put into a barrel filled with boiling oil. Oh, and, just in case that doesn't do her in, throw some snakes in there. So, Brothers Grimm, would you say that you are in favor of the death sentence? I mean, I can't speak for the dead, but, dead she certainly was. Okay, so, my thoughts are a little, scattered tonight, or I'm just in a dissecting a good story mood, so I have several points to make, and they're all just like little beautiful nuggets, chicken nuggets of wisdom. So, okay. At the beginning, the father wanted his imagined daughter to have a fair chance at the crown. I'm sure this started off as, I've got 12 sons. They're great, but a daughter would be cool. And then he would be like, oh, no, man. What's the point? Because if she's a girl, then she's just not going to have any rights, because we don't live in a free country, or country at all. Like, what are we going to do? Oh. And then I'm pretty sure that just kept circulating, and it became almost an obsession of, how do I figure this out? I really want this to work out, to the point that it became unhealthy. And yeah, so as we see, this simple desire can burn a man through and catch him into thinking traps. And thinking traps are things that are common cognitive distortions, like his all or nothing thing of, well, I want my daughter to have rights, so obviously I have to go to the absolute extreme and murder my 12 other children. That's pretty all or nothing. And like, okay, seriously, he's the king. His word is law. He could be like, alright, peasants, my girl has rights now, and the other woman's like, so us too? No, just her. She has all her 13th of the kingdom, and the peasants are like, that doesn't seem okay. All I'm saying is he could have come up with another solution other than his all or nothing or black and white thinking of, welp, here's this thing. This is our only solution. That's it. If you find yourself stuck in thinking traps like these, please seek help. Don't murder 12 people because that's what your brain tells you is the only option. Don't listen to that. Yeah, okay, and, you know, for starters, it almost didn't, okay, sometimes you work so hard to achieve a goal that the goal breaks. Like, you're, like, squeezing onto this thing so much and then it just stops being a thing because you broke it. Like, the girl, he's like, okay, I want my girl to have rights, so I'm going to murder my 12 sons, and then the mom's like, I don't like that plan, sends them into the woods, and then they, like, leave, and then, like, later, the girl finds out, and she's like, I'm gonna go bring my sons home, and then guess what? They never come home. So he lost the girl. So, okay, okay, and kind of opposite of my message yesterday, while we're on the psychology terms train, dialectical statement is a statement where it's two opposing truths. Like, this is hard, and I am doing it. Like, they're both true. And so my message yesterday was, keep searching until you find the right thing, and you can pass things up on the way if you need to. Well, my message today is, just because you found one good thing doesn't mean you have to discount all the others. Sorry, fingers are itchy. So for example, if you found a new good show that you're like, oh, yes, this show or this book is good, doesn't mean you have to discount every other thing you've liked in the past. And if you found one cool person, this one is especially, pay attention, dangerous. If you're like, this person is so cool, so I'm going to ignore every other person in my life so I can spend time and talk to them, and them just becomes your life, and that's bad. That's dangerous, especially because, well, as we were talking about earlier, sometimes you like squeeze onto a thing so hard and then the thing is not a thing anymore because you killed it. Not like you're gonna kill the person, but like you'll kill their desire to, maybe. I don't know. I'm rambling. And so, going back to the thing, if you have 12 children and you have this one amazing new child, don't murder the 12 children! Sorry, I'm still on that. I can't get off of that. Like, he just is so ready and, like, makes the coffins himself to murder. Okay. And, like, let's think about it. If they're, like, the soonest they can be born is a year after the other. So, Benjamin can talk. So he's probably, and, you know, comprehend stuff. So he's probably around the age of, like, 7 at the youngest, which means the oldest would be, like, 20? older than 20. 7 plus 12.
19.
Thank you. 19! Adult! He is an adult person. Like, it literally says earlier that the brothers are, like, living up in the forest for 10 years, and then it says the girl is all grown up. I'm sorry. They left when she was born. So maybe there's, like, a year of them, like, waiting by the castle. But she would be, like, 11 or 12 at the oldest. So, definitely a grown-up. These children, all 12 of them are, like, grown-ups or almost grown-ups in the land of Grimm, and he's just ready to murder them. I'm sorry. Cognitive distortions are powerful, people. Okay. Thinking traps. This is just, please, seek help if you are anything like this king. I mean, I've had moments where I'm like this king. I think we've all had moments where we're like this king. So, please, seek help so that everyone around you is like, yes, thank you, good job. Okay. And on the subject of the siblings, I hear a lot of media that little kids, when another child is born, think their parents love them less. And as I'm the oldest, you'd think that I have authority on the subject and could tell you, but no. My next youngest sibling was a year after me, so I didn't really have a concept of loss of parental love. So, like, cognitively speaking, like, maybe as a 1-year-old, I was like, I want food. Why is mom not giving me food immediately? But, like, that's not really a cognitive process to a 1-year-old. But, like, the things in the media I'm seeing is when the child is a little older, say, like, 7, and then the mom has another baby, and it's like, what? Mom doesn't love me anymore. So I don't have an answer to that question from personal experience. Other than that, what you perceive as a lack of love may just be that there's also, like, this something new. This baby that needs attention too. So now you had 100% of the time, and now you have half of the time. And if that baby has any form of issue, like colic, or is, like, sensitive to foods or something, or has some sort of disorder, then that time is going to be cut more than just in half. Or so the point is, they may spend less time with you, but that doesn't mean they love you any less. Granted, I am not a professional anything, so not every situation obviously can be explained with this blanket statement I've just made. What is cold? So, I'm not 100% right any of the percent of the time, so maybe don't listen to me. I don't know. Do what works best for you. My point is, we all need to be mindful of each other's, of our needs, and others' needs, and their wants, and just mindful of each other, especially during this time when you're stuck at home with people. Maybe you're alone. That might be nice, and it might suck because, yeah, and you might be stuck with people. Yeah, so be mindful of, yes, mindfulness. Good always. Okay, something I'd like to point out with the flowers is the woman asked why the sister picked the flowers and didn't let them keep growing. That's the point. There's these flowers, and they look super pretty, and like you don't pick a flower that's all green and closed, and you don't do that. unless you do. Typically, people don't do that. So they picked the flower, and the woman said there was still room for growth. So let's pretend, because I'm rambling for a second, that these are magical flowers that don't grow old and die, and they only die when you've stopped actively helping them to live. You know, for example, watering it, putting it in the right amount of light, not too much, not too little, putting it in good ground, not feeding it strange chemically things you found in the garage and thought, would the flowers like this? No, they would not. My point is, you might think you've peaked. You might think that you are an amazing blossoming flower, and that is as good as it gets. I mean, I think I've peaked. Like that one time when I'll tell that later. I'll tell that some other time. Okay. But if you think you've peaked, look closer. Maybe you're in the wrong environment. Maybe you're in the proverbial too much light or too little light. Or whatever, maybe it's you're not neurologically stimulated enough or stimulated too much. Or there's too much challenge or not enough challenge. I don't know. This metaphor is getting deeper by the second. Like when they planted the flowers, because they dig. Okay. Or maybe you need to do something new, like fertilizer. Not... like proverbially speaking, like take a new class or read about a new subject or Google something new, like learn a new hobby, skill, talent, thing, whatever. Or start something back up again if you're like, I did X cool thing, like I did crocheting for a while and then I stopped. Me. So maybe I should start that up again. Maybe start it up again. Or stop doing something like pouring chemicals on the flowers and seeing if they like them. They don't. Or, like going to parties or staying up so late every night to submit a YouTube video. And you realize maybe you should do these earlier in the day. Not like I'm talking about anyone specific. Maybe I should stop doing some things. My point. So if you think you have peaked, look closer and you'll find some other mountain or hill or general peaky looking place that you can climb and it'll be epic. Okay. How the heck did the sister not laugh for 7 years? Or talk like, someone steps on your foot, you say, ouch. Or you bump into someone and you say, sorry. Like, it's just this reflex. I would know. As I've taken classes, there's an assignment I have to do annually where I don't talk for a whole day. 24 hours. Oh. And it's hard. Like, one time I accidentally hit someone with a hockey stick. It's a long story. And so I just reflexively said, I'm sorry. Like, okay, how does she not? And like, someone pokes you and you laugh or you jump or you whatever. Like, wow. 7 years. Okay. I mean, like, especially at the beginning, like, when I'm doing one of those no-laugh contests or, like, the silent game, it's that first, like, minute and a half. That's, like, minute and a half where you're just, like, and you're, like, trying really hard to not find everything funny, because the second someone tells you don't do something, it suddenly is, like, 12% at least more appealing, and it's like so much harder. Okay. Point is, because, but then like, after that little bit, you kind of settle into just this like blank place of, cool, I am not laughing or feeling or smiling, like, you just kind of, so my point is that it's easy to do that, even if you're not doing the thing for 7 long years. Like, even if you're just doing it for 5 minutes, you can just, sometimes it's, the whole time you're just like, can't not laugh, but sometimes you just, so once you just kind of let go of those happy emotions, it can be really hard to get them back. That's my point. So don't slip into that state of apathy right now. Fight that. Look at cat memes or YouTube videos that make you laugh. Like, I don't know, maybe some very not suave storyteller you might know. So find something that just makes you at least smile, because then you can start getting into the routine of not apathy. Because while apathy may seem better than misery, if you're apathetic, you have no other emotions than apathy. So happiness is good. Seek what makes you happy, unless it's murdering your 12 sons! I'm still on that. I'm sorry. It's... Okay. Okay. On the other hand, it said she didn't even smile for her wedding day. She didn't smile. Like, you think, you know, like, smiling's fine, it just said no laughing or talking. But she was very smart about this, because if you're trying to quit something, the closer you get, the harder it is to quit. So if you're, you know, trying to quit alcohol, not like I speak from experience, I'm crazy enough at, like, okay, not that I'm calling people to drink crazy, I'm just saying it does things to your brain, and I clearly don't need any extra help in that area. So if you're trying to quit alcohol, you don't go into a bar. You might even completely avoid bars if you have to walk or drive to work. If it's, because you need to do what makes it easier for you. And so some people, if they were challenged to not laugh or talk for 7 years, could smile a little bit. Some people could, especially if they're like it's been 7 years since I've had a drink, I think I can go back to walking the same way to work that I did that's shorter or whatever. It's you need to find what works for you. And the princess, the sister, she knew that if she smiled, she was going to be a lot more likely to laugh. And